Welcome to our first podcast. We currently don't have a name for the podcast, but we will decide on it soon. Um, my name is Halver, and this is
Uh, I am Jasper, and we are very excited for the new podcast. Mm, we're excited to talk about some big ideas and whatever interests us. I mean, we are both, I think, interested in lots of different topics about the world, about psychology, human nature, the world. Doesn't really matter, but we're excited to talk about, uh, yeah, whatever is on our mind.
yeah. We thought we'd start this podcast to really just cover a lot of big ideas, concepts, thoughts we have, discussions that we would have by ourselves anyways.
Hmm.
And we think a lot of them would
Yeah,
be interesting to share with the
yeah.
world as well.
Yeah, sharing some of our ideas, some of our thoughts that we've been having for a long time, and hopefully finding some people who can resonate with that and maybe learn something, discuss, and yeah,
Yeah. And I think we'll just jump straight into the first
yeah,
podcast. The current
first
title is the
episode.
Content Feed Epidemic.
Hmm.
Um, the idea behind the topic is to really just discuss um, feeds and algorithms and the content that comes with them, maybe especially with a focus on social media feeds and algorithms,
Hmm.
uh, because we think, well, there's a lot happening in that domain, right? I think everyone feels it in their everyday life, and it's definitely evolving and has evolved for, well, at least quite heavily the last 10 years, I would say, 10, 15 years. And so we really want to discuss kind of just our ideas about the feeds in general, algorithms. We try to analyze a bit how they work, what they do, both to your brain and how the experience feels, and also talk a little bit about maybe the motivations for companies, maybe uh, how it impacts individuals and what we can maybe do about it. Also,
Hmm.
maybe talk about some potential future evolutions of the feeds and algorithms.
Yeah, yeah. I think that summarizes quite well. And also, like, why is it important, right? We spend so many of our hours online, and we spend so many hours just getting ideas, and all our ideas come from these algorithms, right? These algorithms push the things that we see, the things that we think about, the things that we talk about in society. It's all influenced in such a big way by these algorithms and the feeds, mm, and therefore it's extremely important to look at it, see how this shapes our thoughts, see how this shapes society. Um, and how this could maybe be different, right? Because it doesn't have to be the way it is right now. It's just the way it naturally came to be due to many different reasons. And yeah, I think it's very important to have
Yep,
this discussion and see what's possible.
yep. And let's hope that a main takeaway for anyone listening to this can maybe be a little eye opener or maybe some new ideas about feeds, about algorithms. In the end, right? I think self awareness or like awareness of what is going on in front of your eyes, what is going on in
Hmm.
the things you interact with, can
Yeah,
really help you take control of the things that
yeah,
might have a more negative effect or unintended effect
mhm.
that you might not currently be aware of. So let's hope we can get some good ideas out in that way as well.
Yeah. That sounds very
Um,
good.
yeah, let's let's start off with
Hmm.
trying to define what we're talking about.
Yeah,
Um, we mentioned now, right, feeds and algorithms. So we can try to at least separate them. I mean, let's just explain what
yeah,
we mean. The first thing is feeds. So feeds, as everyone knows it, right? You refer to it on your social media, whether it be Instagram or X or YouTube or anything else that is a social medium nowadays, usually has a feed, right? It's essentially an infinite scroll, kind of, where you just have a bunch of content produced and you can scroll through it as you want. There are a few different formats for feeds, right? If you think about X, it's a text-based feed, right, with a lot of posts by people. if you think about your Instagram feed, maybe back in the days, it would be filled with people you follow only, right? And photos only. And then you have like the TikTok and Instagram Reels feeds that are purely video. You get a new one every time. And then you also have the YouTube feed where it's not really a content feed. It's more like a metadata content feed, right? Feeding you recommendations for things to click. So
right. And then you get into the algorithms, right? Like surface level, it all looks the same, right? It's a feed of content of things you might be interested in, whatever, composed of different elements, right? So on your Instagram, it might be the people you follow and whatever. And on other platforms, it's more recommended. And on TikTok, you see it's basically all just whatever the algorithm thinks you would be interested in, right? And that's where it gets into the algorithms. And all the platforms have their algorithm, and they can be tuned differently by different parameters. Is there anything you want to add on to it, or should we dive?
I think just
we can dive into the algorithms, or
I think first I just want to also mention, at least to me, like algorithms is this kind of big, word with infinite meanings in some ways. I feel like people use it in a broad context, and it's like, it's the algorithm, right?
Algorithm, or AI or something like that.
Or
right?
AI, exactly. Some big thing out there kind of definition, right? But realistically, right, from a tech perspective, it's not that fancy, right? It is, they do get complicated.
It can be, right? It can be simple or...
but I think the principles behind them are relatively simple to understand. Essentially, they are trying to optimize whatever parameters the platform wants to push, right? By feeding you content in a certain order, right? So it decides what the next pieces of content you will see are. And it can do that based on a variety of methods. If we talk about the main epidemic part of it, most of these algorithms are using a lot of your personal data and all the data they have on you, essentially, to try to optimize your engagement, right? They want to understand you as best possible so that they can feed the content most fit for you to probably, in most cases, maximize your engagement.
Right, because that's where we get into you have the algorithm. It feeds on a bunch of different data, right? Which could be data of which videos did you watch today, right? In which categories are they? What did other people who watched similar videos watch afterwards? How long did they then watch this video? Did you like something? Who are you following? But also things like which advertisements did you just watch on another platform, or it's a whole big thing. They have a whole big data set on you, and then all that data is kind of pushed into the algorithm, one could say. And so that's the data part, the data that goes in. And then you have the optimization goals, right? Which is what comes out. What is the goal of this algorithm, I think? And there you can have a lot of different ideas. You could say, we should optimize that people learn the most or have a balanced view of society, or you can imagine a lot of different things. This is very subjective, and one could optimize for whatever one wants. And I think what we see nowadays is that what you talked about, right? It's for user retention, for engagement. This is what it's optimized for, right? It's optimized that you spend as much time as possible on the platform right now. But it's not optimized for your happiness. It's not optimized for anything that I think actually would benefit humanity, or
I think that's a good point. Like in general, it doesn't seem to optimize for you, like for your sake. It seems to optimize for the company's sake, right?
For the stakeholders, right? That's
for the profits.
That's the goal, right? How do we keep the stakeholders happy?
That's clearly the intent, right? And I mean, as a company, that's what you want. You want to grow. You want to make money.
You're legally obliged to work for the stakeholders. It's your legal responsibility, right? If you don't work for the stakeholders, you're not doing your job. So,
Yeah,
I mean, it's very obvious that this would be the result of these content feeds.
yeah.
Um,
And then I think an interesting thing is like, okay, you are a company, right, with an algorithm and a feed and users, and you are optimizing for profits, retention, which inherently leads to profits, right? Other forms of growth, right? Competing with user share in the market. These are all related to your company's growth desires. And the interesting thing becomes, okay, if we say that a key component is engagement, right? As this big thing where it's about retaining you, it's about making you maximize engagement, actual like likes or comments or
yeah.
follows, making your presence larger on the platform,
And I
clicking
guess
more ads, viewing more ads.
viewing as many ads, exactly. This is kind of
Yeah,
what it's really about, right? Like that's the
yeah.
yeah,
Um, and so your goal is to maximize this big group of engagement with obviously ads or money making ways being a big part of it. And then the question becomes for the algorithm or for the people defining the algorithm, how do you maximize engagement, right? What is the
yeah,
most
yeah,
effective way to keep you on the platform? Is
yeah,
it to make you, constantly fear something? Is it to make you constantly happy? Is it to give you those
yeah,
dopamine hits of humor? Is it to, for example, a big topic, right? Is it to keep you in your political alignment, right? To constantly show
yeah,
you more of the same things that you care about politically or religiously or in other
yeah.
ways of belief. Uh,
Yeah. These are all very, very interesting questions, and I think you can talk for hours just on
yeah,
like how are these small details all interrelated. But the interesting thing also is to think that these same conversations are being had at X, at Facebook, at TikTok. They're all thinking exactly about these details. How can we find exactly the right ways to manipulate someone to use their right their dopamine incentives, their psychology, to use that in order to sell more ads, right? That's fundamentally the question. And then it's really about the exploitation of the human, of the person, right? You become the product instead of the other way around. Um,
yeah,
yeah, you are the resource that is mined for your attention, and in the end, for the money that you earned working somewhere else, right? This is what they want, and
yeah.
yeah,
And it's a big science, right? It's an interesting. I mean, that's another topic, but I feel like as a consumer or as a regular or person, we are quite blind to all the quote unquote science or research that is being done behind a company's doors, right? Like uh, there are huge research teams out there
yeah,
specializing in things that we don't even
hmm
think of as
like
a
the
research
smartest,
domain, right?
yeah. Yeah, these are the smartest people in the world, and they are looking exactly about like, or for example, A/B testing, right? I think a lot of people
Yeah,
don't know about this, but A/B testing, it's used in all software, in all companies, big companies in the world, like Google uses it, Facebook, X, it doesn't matter, right? And basically what they do is they have two versions of their application that are live at the same time, and they change one small thing, right? They change like the color of blue that they use for the like button on Facebook, for example, right? They change that, and then they let 10% of the users go into the new version, and the other 90% are reverted to the old version. And then they just see what is the difference? How many more people are liking on the new version versus the old version? How much longer do people stay on the platform? They look at a bunch of different metrics, they analyze this, and then based on this data, they say, yes, we change the color of blue slightly, or no, we keep it to the other. And these are really these micro optimizations that are made all the time on all these platforms, just to, yeah,
yeah.
um,
And they will do the same thing with algorithms, right? So if we go back to
yes,
feeds, right, they do the
yes,
exact same thing. They will
exactly.
test something for a group of users or a certain type of content, right? They will shift and alter small details, and based on what their goals are, they will test against different groups of people and see what works better. And they have insane amounts of data to pull from, and they're
Yes,
using all this data in their back rooms to try to find the best way of well, doing whatever their goal really is.
Yeah.
And regarding this goal, I just wanted to uh,
Mm-hmm.
not get too far off, but
Yes.
this engagement goal, right, or the goal of the company, right? Let's say make it simple, okay? The basic goal is profit, but we also shouldn't look away from the potential for the goals to be um, also focused on cultural impact or psychological shaping of people, even if it's not necessarily the main way of gaining profit. There might also be room to try, like, to have sub goals or parallel goals that
Yes.
focus on we need to shape a certain way of thinking or
Yes. For
bring
really,
ideas.
if you're thinking about longer term visions of companies of whatever, then there might be other incentives, right? That
Yeah,
that are more
I think okay.
complicated than just the optimization in the moment.
Yeah, yeah. I think take a simple example. If you assume that all the companies are still only for profit, but there are some long-term things that are that require you to maybe lower engagement right now to push certain ideas or thought patterns, then you can take a simple example like if uh, if Meta wants the VR world to be the
Yeah,
thing
that's a
in
good
the
example.
future, then they can use they can use their algorithms to push the positives of VR to make it a
Yeah.
something that people desire in the future, something
Mm,
positively aligned with people. And they could take a loss on engagement right now, but
yeah.
long term they would push this idea in people's minds.
Yeah, I think that's a very good example. And it's just one small example, right? But there are many
Yeah,
of these things. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
There are
very
more
interesting.
nefarious reasons you can use it for as well, right? Obviously,
Yes,
not
of course.
just uh,
Yeah,
positive profits in the future.
yeah, yeah. But
But
I
okay,
think also to get back to to this way, like what do they optimize for, right? It's generally it's engagement, it's stakeholder capitalism, it's this whole process of optimization for the moment, efficiency, money making, and it's like how can we get out of this trap, right? Because it feels like we are, or to me it feels like we are all kind of trapped in this world together, right? We created this whole world of optimization, and I think most people are not happy with the world, with the algorithms, with how it is. And I think it could be so much better if these optimization goals for these algorithms could be towards better goals, like the spreading of knowledge or um, going out into the world, saying like we should optimize users, like or we should optimize it such that the user stays on the platform, but only for 10 minutes, 15 minutes, and is then motivated to do something in his own life, right? Which is very hard to do for a company because it means, well, if Facebook were to implement something like this, it would in the moment really cut a lot of the profits, advertising revenue, etc. But I feel something like this is necessary.
yeah, this is this is why it might
Yeah.
be impossible to solve the question, right? Because the
Yes,
incentives
this is
of
the
the
hard
company
thing.
are opposite from the incentives of the
Yes,
person.
of society. Yeah.
But I think we can go a bit deeper into like what
Yeah.
do the algorithms, what do the feeds do, right? Like what do they
Hmm.
do? What impact do they have on your brain, and
Hmm.
how do they really work? So
Yeah.
I was thinking about this to make a simple model. I feel like you have kind of two uh, key types of algorithms. There is a feeds, let's say, right? There is a direct content feed, and there is a recommendation feed. So the idea being that if you look at Instagram Reels
Yeah.
or TikTok or something, you are literally going through every piece of content that they feed you, right? You are forced, you're pushed. They tell you this is the next thing you're watching, and you don't have a
Yeah.
choice.
Yeah.
Um, and then you take that compared to the YouTube recommendation feed, where you can argue you're consuming content partially, but let's be real, like the actual content is the video itself.
That's a
And
very interesting difference. Yeah.
and so you are you're getting fed recommendations, but ultimately you have to click to consume the content itself.
Yeah.
So it's like abstracted one layer. Like in my head, it's like
You have more choice, right? You have
yeah,
choice on YouTube. It's not completely linear. Like I guess on Instagram
no,
you can decide to look on the comments or not, but it's not so important, right? It's
yeah,
like much less control. Yeah.
yeah. In my head, it was like if you're walking down a hallway and there's a name on every door, that's
Mm-hmm.
YouTube, and
Yes.
you choose whether you go into the room or not. But
Mm-hmm.
in a direct feed, you're walking from room to room directly, right? And you
Yeah,
have
you're
to
walking
take
through
in
the
the room.
rooms. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes. Yeah.
And I think if we
So
take it on the psychological level, the well, maybe we have to talk a bit like explanatory about this as well. But the direct feed has complete control over like your mind. You don't have a choice, right? You don't. You're not in control. You're just fed what you need to consume. You have the control of whether you skip quickly or watch it, of course.
yeah,
But you're kind of left with no option.
it's
The
like
path is set for you.
the YouTube Reels. What's it called? The YouTube
Short.
uh, Shorts versus the normal feed, right?
Yeah.
On the Shorts, you're kind of in the content, right? You're there, and it's just bum bum next after the next after the next. And with the normal YouTube feed, it's a bit more. Yeah.
Yeah. Because you still have
Yeah.
some level of control, right? Whether you want to consume
Yeah.
something or not.
Yeah.
And I had this thought like, why, would YouTube ever uh, switch their videos to be scrolls, right?
Right, but it's already the case. It's YouTube Shorts. They have it.
Yeah, but for the normal YouTube videos, I don't know
Well,
the
they're already
percentage
autoplaying a bit,
engagement.
right? They changed that a bit. Like if you hover over a video, it actually starts autoplaying. I find it really annoying. I turned it off on
Yeah,
all my, but they already
yeah,
autoplaying
that's
in some
true.
ways.
But you don't
So they're
you
trying
don't
to
have
push
to
on this, right?
scroll through videos to find them, right? You don't
No,
like.
yeah, yeah, but that's YouTube Shorts, right? That's exactly YouTube Shorts.
Yeah, yeah, but
But I
those
guess,
are also different types of content, right? They're short form content usually,
yeah, normally,
essentially.
but some are a
Uh,
bit longer, like up to a few minutes, or like,
yeah,
but yeah, for sure.
I think
Yeah,
Instagram has done the same thing, right?
yeah,
Um,
that's interesting.
but I think I was thinking, and my conclusion was probably it would not be beneficial for them because I think they probably make a huge chunk of their money off of the initial ads, like the first ads in a video. So
Yeah.
if they were to scroll, like no one would bother scrolling if you have to sit through the first 30 seconds of ads every time. So they would have to cut the ad from the beginning, right, and move it to later in the video.
Yeah.
Uh,
I think they could find something for that because then you're also scrolling way more. They could do like an ad in between the scroll, or I don't know.
yeah,
I
maybe,
think
yeah,
you can come to some kind of an idea for
and
that.
also
But
they would, yeah, because they would hit these, like the engagement, like all the views would drastically increase,
yeah,
but the
but
retention rate would drastically drop off
but
for people.
for me personally, that would be such a put off for YouTube. Like if they would do that,
Yeah,
I
me too.
would like I couldn't use it anymore. Like I
No,
already try to not use the feed as much as possible and try to assemble my own feed of creators that I like and just look
yeah,
at that, right? The subscriptions. I try to use that as much as possible.
yeah.
Yeah.
No, I wouldn't use it in that case. So
Yeah.
there's clearly like
Yeah,
a
so there's
difference
like
there.
YouTube, they cannot do that, right? They cannot go into
No.
the yeah. Do you want to get more into like the psychology of like what it does to an individual and to life in general, and like retention span? We can go into that,
Yeah.
by by because I feel from purely like an intuitive point of view, right? From my experience, it's like you get all these videos and it's all automatic, right? There's an infinite amount of dopamine, of excitement around the corner, right? And you always get the feeling, I'll grab my phone. There's always something there, right? You're never bored. Your brain is always active. And mm, as you get used to that, it becomes harder and harder to do hard things in the world, right? Read a book. It's like no one reads a book anymore because it's just so hard. It's boring. But after you read a book, you really know something about a topic, right? Like books versus movies. Also, it's you so much more detailed and fundamental. Um, yeah, I feel this is a really important thing, and how it affects us all.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's this it's kind of like, eating candy all the time versus eating food that is good for you,
Yeah,
like, yeah, it's not as maybe not as satisfying on a short-term basis, but it
it
makes you
doesn't pleasure
feel
you right
better.
now.
Yeah,
That's right.
like it makes you feel better overall. It makes you
Yeah,
feel I think in the sense of like, attention span and having this short form dopamine hit all the time, right in your face, like it's going to desensitize you to real life, right, to normal life, to things that
yeah,
take time, to things that are not
hmm
always engaging. And I feel like it'll end up disconnecting you from the, like, real joy, maybe,
from
like
yourself.
the
I, I think you start forgetting what it feels like to finish a book, right? What
yeah,
it's what like this feeling of true satisfaction, right? Where your whole body and your mind and everything is like aligned in satisfaction. You're like, nice, I did that, right? I'm proud of what I did. Like these, multiple feelings that build up together, not just the pleasure feeling right now. And if
yeah,
you're only doing the pleasure, like I think you just forget that there is a whole nother world out there that feels much better and that rewards in a deeper sense.
yeah. And I think things like truly meaningful things take time. It's like there are
Yeah.
probably people 5,000 years ago saying this, but
Yes, of course.
it's such a basic thing that, like, yeah,
Yeah.
obviously, nothing truly meaningful or purposeful will come in a minute, right? Like that's not how the world works. Things take time, and
hmm
things are hard as well, right? Things are
Yeah.
not easy, uh, and so you have to be, like, if you want to, I think for most things, you want to feel this sense of meaning from what you do. It can't be bam, bam, bam with
Yeah.
fun and joy and dopamine and
Yeah. Right. And that's for the individual. And then you think about society at large, right? You cannot build a society. Or do you want to go have more ideas, or should we continue this into
um
society?
yeah, just this other thing
Yeah.
about um all these short-term dopamine hits. I think maybe I'm biased, but I think if
Uh-huh.
most people stand back and think for themselves, do I actually care about what I see on my feeds? Um, I think most people would say something close to no, uh,
Yeah.
because I think you realize that having 7 seconds of a laugh, right, or something
Yeah.
engaging, whatever, or something that gives you a little dopamine hit, like if you go a week later, you don't know what you were watching, you don't remember it, and
Yeah.
overall, I don't think that period of sitting 3 hours scrolling something is something you deem as a good way to spend your time or something meaningful.
Yeah.
Um,
Uh,
and so I think realistically, you like everyone kind of feels this inside. It's just that the pull to this short-term
it's just so
hit,
easy.
right?
And yes.
It's
Yeah.
strong.
But it doesn't bring true fulfillment in life, right? If you're
No,
80, whatever, and you're not going to think back on that and think, wow, that was good. That was nice that I did those things. No, it's just
yeah,
like, it's just there. Uh,
yeah,
yeah. And I think what you were saying, right? It's like this. I think it's also partly that the rest of the world feels purposeless for a lot of people. It's like the job market. A lot of people are disillusioned in general in life in really putting effort into something, right? And I
yeah,
think if people have like a greater world to fight for, or something they truly believe in, a community, um, this kind of stuff, then it's also easier to say no because you have something more important that you wish to fight for, and then it's easy to say no to the shorts and to this feed because it's just you already feel happy. You're already happy and satisfied without it, right?
yeah. I really like this, and also the um this idea that all this. content that you're fed, right? It's from this big void, kind of like, yeah, there are real people across the world. Maybe not. There might be
Yeah.
AI nowadays, but you
But
know, it's just it like it doesn't actually exist in your personal life. It's
yeah,
it's so
it's
far
also
away. It's out of nowhere. It doesn't actually exist like in your real life. So I feel like if you spend your whole time consuming, I'm especially talking about short form things, right? Like not a
yeah,
30-minute video that teaches you something new about history. Like that can be meaningful to you because it'll teach you
for sure.
something.
Yeah,
But you kind of disconnect your identity to a certain point as well, where all of a sudden a lot of the things you care about and the things you are pulled towards and the things you want to spend your time watching are just random things
yeah.
out in the void that
It
maybe
becomes
don't
like
exist.
this anonymous thing, right? And everyone, it's kind of something similar. But for everyone, it's you lose your sense of individuality. I think also in some way,
Yeah,
right? Your sense of me living my life in my way with my people, with the things, my hobbies, the things that I enjoy to do, how I feel, how you know, and instead you swap that out for like this universal thing that generalized thing. That you
yeah. It's not your
yeah.
life, you know. It's
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
out
You're
there.
not living anything, right? You're not doing
No,
anything. You're just consuming,
yeah.
passive. Yeah,
I think a great, you know, it's like this. Imagine you are 5 meters ahead of, like, above yourself, right? Looking at yourself, and you're just scrolling on the phone. You're gonna look
yeah,
down and think, what am I doing?
yeah,
You know?
yeah.
Uh,
I'm the same. Sometimes, you're like on the bus or something, and you just see everyone
yeah,
scrolling
exactly. Yeah, this
on
is.
their phone. It's like
Oh yeah,
just waiting for 5 minutes for the bus, and people cannot just sit and enjoy and be with themselves. I mean, I notice this
yeah,
for myself as well, but I try
yeah,
really to, I try to be there and to be in my body to, yeah. I think that's very
yeah.
important.
I'm also trying to actively do it, and I think if you want a little tip from a tip from us for this, I think it's try to disconnect from this when you can. You know, try not to
Yeah.
spend every waking moment um, uh, being dragged towards it. And it's like when you have that 5 minutes waiting for the bus, 20 minutes on the bus, um, just going for a little walk, going to the bathroom, right? Something like
Yeah.
this. Just try to make that decision
Leave your
to,
phone, like
yeah,
just, yeah, let me leave it somewhere for an hour, something
yeah,
like, or
spend time with your
longer.
thoughts,
Yeah.
like
And
observe.
learn to enjoy boredom. Learn to enjoy the feeling of I don't know what to do. What should I think about? What can I think about? Right? Then
Yeah,
you start to self-reflect, and for sure, at first this will be very unusual because it's like you're not used to the thoughts, used to the feeling. But over time, you learn to go with it, and that's also where the best ideas come from. That's where
yeah,
action comes from boredom, right? If you're never bored, you will also never create something, right? You have to go through that phase of boredom in order to then come out and have ideas, have things you want to do, whatever.
100%. I mean, you have to find a way to spend your time, right, with things that are actually uh, coming from you, not
Yeah,
just coming
yeah,
at you.
exactly. And therefore, you need to calm, to observe yourself, and to not be
Yeah,
constantly influenced because this boredom achieves a more objective vision of yourself. You see yourself in the way you are normally, without anything from the outside in. How am I at peace? How am I when there is not constant information coming in? And I think
yeah,
you start to notice a different aspects of yourself that you might not have noticed before.
100%.
Yeah,
I mean, just, yeah, sitting on the bus for 20 minutes and just thinking and looking out the
observing.
window or
Yeah,
something or observing
uh-huh,
people, like that's,
yeah, being conscious, mindful. Yeah,
yeah, that in itself is gonna, it grows your inner world, right? Like
yeah,
it really does, and it comes from you. And I think if we want to
yeah.
bring it back to the feeds and the algorithms, then it it allows you to take back control of your mind to a
Hmm.
certain degree because you are in
Yeah,
charge of your mind, right? Like you can choose to think, you can think however you want, you can create inner worlds of your own meaning or from your
hmm,
own volition that are whatever you want them to be, right? You can
yeah.
make your own observations, you can form your own ideas and theories. You're
It's
in
your
control
house.
of that.
you can put the furniture where you want, you can,
Yeah,
but it takes time, right? It takes time to build your inner
yeah,
house. And don't let someone else get you a shitty apartment somewhere. It's way too small and that's not
yeah,
cleaned and whatever. You know, do it yourself, but it takes time to
yeah,
build a palace for yourself, a house, whatever you imagine, right? And how you
yeah.
want to develop yourself. And, yeah,
And it needs to come from you. Like you need to be you need to sit with your thoughts, right? Like you need to spend time
yes,
observing. You can't have
yeah,
all your days filled with
oh,
content and things that are always going
yeah,
to occupy your mind, especially from external sources.
yeah,
um
yeah. And sadly, these feeds they push the opposite, right? Because they're optimized for this engagement for the here and now, and you just become overloaded with dopamine. It actually costs a lot of energy for your brain to process all this stuff. So you're
yeah,
tired afterwards. You don't want to think, and you get into this cyclus of yeah of of
and I think,
watching.
yeah, I think you also lose a bit of yourself, uh
Yeah,
because if you don't spend time just with your thoughts, defining yourself, thinking for yourself, in control of what where you choose to put your mind, right? Like you stop
yeah,
making those choices. Everything is pre-made for you. Everything is just fed to you. Then
yeah,
all of a sudden you don't really like, who are you then, right? You don't make decisions for yourself. You allow the algorithm to make the decisions, right?
yeah,
You don't think
yeah,
about what you're actually interested in and search for it
yeah,
actively. You just allow it to come to you, and
yeah,
then you go along with whatever is
yeah.
being fed from outside.
But this is just such a hard realization, I think, to really make,
Yeah,
because it takes effort. It will not come for free.
one hundred
Like
percent.
if you're not motivated, if this is not something that you want, if you don't want the freedom of your mind back, the freedom of living, of feeling good, of feeling at peace with yourself, with the world, right? You need to want this. And then after a while it becomes easier. You train the muscle, right? The more
Yeah,
you do it, the easier it becomes. The hardest part is getting started, and then it's about consistency.
yeah,
And
hundred
if
percent.
you do that, it will make you feel better. Like,
Yeah, we
that's
promise.
just,
We
yes. It's,
promise you, it'll make you feel. No, it will.
yes,
It will.
100%.
You'll
And I
feel
mean, this,
more aligned with yourself. You will feel
yeah,
more at peace. You will feel
yeah,
more. I think you can more easily find real meaning in your life, right? Real purpose, because you have the time and the energy to think about what you want and try things and
yeah.
explore.
Focus on the relations, on the real relations in your life, the real
Yeah,
friends, do stuff with them and also with yourself, right? It's this balance, but don't give your energy away to
yeah.
something that doesn't give any back, right? It's uh,
This is
you
a
have to
like
yeah, you have
seeing
to keep
friends.
your energy. Yeah, you have to keep the
Yeah,
energy for yourself, and I think that's very important.
yeah. It's like this seeing friends sit around like a table and they're all on their phone, right?
Hmm.
It's the
Yeah,
yeah,
I mean, I think I used to do that in school, like
yeah,
like for 1 or 2 years in the breaks, we'd all be on our phone playing games
yeah,
in the
yeah.
break, right? We had half a
Same,
minute break. You eat something quick, and then on the phones,
same.
maybe talking a bit, but I mean, yeah,
Yeah. Um. Okay. I think we can also try to. So we talk a little bit about the individual effect on the brain, right?
yeah,
Let's try to extrapolate to societal effects. Um. Maybe we don't have to overanalyze everything, but we can talk a bit about like the big picture changes that
yeah,
we may be observing, and also that might come
yeah,
from this,
yeah,
from all the individuals or a lot of the individuals being affected.
yeah.
Um,
I think one obvious thing, right, what we started with, it's about the retention, the retention span, right?
yeah,
What's very clear from all the research and everything is that these content feeds, the whole modern internet, is it just reduces our attention span so much, right?
yeah,
And creating startups, creating something in society, right? Making a change, you cannot do that if your attention span is not there, right? And this comes from the
no,
individuals. Like, where's the movement for a better world it doesn't come from its own. It comes from people who are motivated and who think in terms of 10 years, who plan their lives, right? They are thinking about the future. And yeah, if you lose this, I think you lose a pretty big part in society.
Yeah. And that's also not to say that there aren't people spending a lot of time working hard building big
Oh,
things, right? But as
for
a
sure.
society, for sure, we're decreasing as an average, right? People have worse attention spans, and like, how do
Yeah,
you
the
expect,
younger generation.
yeah, younger generation especially, and how do you expect them to sit down and learn something that takes many, many hours of focus, right? Or how do you expect them to be willing to dedicate a year of their life to building something when,
Hmm.
in their time frame, if you don't succeed in 3 days, then it's a failure and you should just move on or quit, right?
Yeah,
Um, I think it'll definitely increase the separation, because I feel like the people who are not in getting too caught up, it's hard to avoid, but the people who don't get too caught up in things that really distract you and damage your attention span, etc., uh, they will stay quote unquote normal, right? Like how humans have always been, right? Kind of unaffected by this kind of push
yeah,
that technology has. While the people who are addicted will, like, their mind will get worse, right? For a certain
yeah.
time frame.
It's really like a disease for the mind. You see depression rise a lot, like
Yeah,
ADHD, uh, also lots of other diseases like which may or may not be related, but we see like a lot of mm, yeah, the effect on society as a whole, right? Which also goes then into the medical, right? These people all need support for their ADHD, for their depression and whatever. In society, you just become, I think, less
yeah.
functional and yeah,
And also, I think a lot of the let's say most powerful ways of pushing engagement is by playing on your emotions, by stimulating you, whether it's fear or anger or even joy. But it seems that to
yeah,
me the negative emotions are a bit stronger at pulling your attention, which probably makes sense. Um,
yeah,
in that case, like, if you're going on the feeds and you're stimulating your anger all the time, that's not natural. Like, you're definitely shifting your identity, your psychology, your mental health, or your mental state. If
yeah,
3 hours a day you feel angry at this thing coming from
yeah,
the void that you have no
yeah,
impact on in the real life, right?
yeah, yeah,
That's going to shift you. That's going to change
yeah,
you.
yeah, yeah. We are all turned into, sheep, into
Yeah,
uh, yeah, without incentive, without that's what's happening, and yeah, uh, um, I think on another view, you also like as effects on society, right? You have what you very much see is that the split between the left and right in politics everywhere, it's just getting bigger and bigger, and you have two groups with completely different ideologies, right? Uh, and it's very hard for them to bring together to see the humanity in one another. And I think for me, for a big part, I think this is due to how they live in completely different worlds. Like I can be a neighbor to someone, but we can have completely different thoughts, right?
yeah,
It's as if we live in two different cultures, as if we live on the other side of the planet in what
yeah,
we believe in. If you look at feminism, if you look at immigration, it doesn't really matter, right? Your views can be radically opposed, but we live next to each other, right? How can we
yeah,
live together? How can a society that works like that function, right? I think in
yeah,
all historical societies up to 20 years ago, 25 years ago, when the internet really came and everyone got online, um, you know, you had to talk with your neighbor. You had to have somewhat similar opinions because you cannot form these radically opposing views, which are pushed by these feeds, right? Because my feed might be completely different than yours, and
yeah,
it just supports the things that we already believe.
yeah. I mean, you can
Oh my
also,
God.
like, within the same household, right? You can have you can
Yes,
have
it's even
four
crazier.
family members
Yeah,
with completely different,
yeah,
like, mental worlds because they spend so much time online, and all their
yeah,
algorithms are and the websites
yeah,
they visit and the information they consume is different. And then, of course, it shapes a lot of who you are. I mean, a lot of the information people get into the brain is online. It's digital, right? Um, and it's interesting, like, how can we can we live like that, right?
yes. Can we form a
Uh,
society?
yeah, is that even possible? I mean, but for
Yeah,
sure, there's this idealistic thing that maybe we're talking about a little bit, right? Yeah, just stop, like, try to find
yeah.
yourself, try to take control of your mind,
Mhm.
allow your
Every
real life
individual needs
around you
this.
to shape your beliefs, your ideas. Don't take
Yeah.
too much of what you consume and allow it to really radically change you. But I think that's also idealistic. I mean, that's
I mean, I think it always comes from two sides, right? This is the task for every individual.
yeah,
Every individual needs to do this and needs to find themselves and their community and look beyond the political things and see that you actually have a lot in common, right?
yeah,
A lot of the things you might not agree with, or like, you can always find common ground, but it needs to come from both sides. Both sides have to be willing to listen, like really willing, and to want to find a solution. I think that's the main
yeah.
thing. One, you have to be honest in not chasing what you believe, but in chasing truth, right? Yeah, I think this is
I
missing a
think
lot.
yeah, uh, like, in my head, there is this model from what you just said where you have two individuals, right? And if they live side by side and just live in the physical world, right? All their ideas will essentially, most of their ideas. There are some, there are basic differences between
Yeah,
people that will shape how you interpret and your
yeah,
experiences, etc. But for the most part, maybe there's like a 70, 80% overlap in the kind of ideas living in the world and the identity of those people who are neighbors in a fully physical world. Um, but with all the digital ideas that come to you, you start to have, like, strong ideas about things that are really far away. And you
yeah.
might have strong ideas about something that is happening in a completely different country that you have no impact on, and yet,
Your neighbor thinks the opposite, and then you're
exactly.
fighting over that
And
thing.
then you care about that. Like, you make that this overseas thing that you have zero impact on, you've never cared about before in your life. It's not connected to your real identity in any way or at all, but the spheres that you live in digitally will feed you these ideas. And then you and your
Yeah,
neighbor are, like, maybe can't get along because you have different opinions on this faraway
yeah.
idea. And that is such a
But
crazy
yeah,
like,
but there are also
reality.
so many things where we are so divided, and where it actually makes it hard to communicate with your neighbor, Like, you look at
Yeah,
food, right? There's some people who say you should eat vegan, and there are others who say you should eat only meat, right? Like, very extremes, but like, you should eat this paleontologic diet, and others say no, you cannot, because we need to you can, yeah, you need to do the moral thing, right? You have it with feminism, right? You have radically opposing views and coming with your neighbor. Um, Immigration. I mean, what else? Like, there are such
religion.
fundamental things. Religion, right? What do we believe in? Um,
Yeah.
I mean, like, if you actually don't
I mean,
agree on
we
some
can
of these
take all
basic
the
facts,
contentious topics nowadays,
yes,
and
yeah, Israel. I don't know. Like, there are so many topics,
yeah,
and Israel has become such a big thing. But actually, like, like, communicate. Like, I don't know.
yeah,
Find the
or, like,
commonalities.
yeah, war and abortion and gender stuff
Abortion.
and
s- yeah,
education. Like, it's everywhere.
yeah,
But okay, so, well, this is reality, right? People can have a lot of
yeah. This is
ideas
the
in
way.
their head
Yeah,
that are very far from your neighbors, and they live there only because of what you consume online. I think I've told people this. I don't know if anyone takes it seriously, but I think people should consume less news. Now, maybe
Yeah,
moving a bit from the feed, but the feed is very connected, right? It's
yeah,
similar because like news nowadays is a feed in its
yeah.
own way. Yeah, it might not
It's
be
kind of the
hyper
original
personalized to
feed,
you,
no?
but
It's like
yeah,
where it came from. Like the news has been there for a long time, but this
yeah,
is what the
the news
algorithms
feed.
evolved out of. Yeah, the news feed, news articles. It's been like this for hundreds of
Yeah,
years, but it's just evolved.
and it's a direct feed, right? Like you don't have any choice. You can't choose. I mean, you can
Yeah,
choose platform, but uh, well, anyways, let's not get off topic on that.
yeah,
But the idea being that nowadays it seems like such a almost like a fundamental thing that you should be paying attention to the news, right? And I kind of I sometimes question like why, like if you look at news in many countries, there's so much coverage of American news, right,
yeah.
or international news.
Like if an ICE agent does something in the southern border or border of Mexico, it's like I
Yeah,
don't like sure, but I don't need to know this. Like, sure,
no,
it can be an interesting fact, but it doesn't help me in any way. It doesn't build my worldview. Like, what? I don't, yeah.
no,
So I
and
don't pay
if it
attention to that kind of events because I don't know.
Yeah, but if you're supposed to be paying attention to the news and keeping up to date, then you need to consume it all, and you need to form like you're gonna
Yeah,
form opinions and ideas because the news are also they have similar motivations, right? To
yeah,
other feeds like social media.
yeah,
Um, and then the question becomes, should the average person even care? Like you're not part of politics. You're not part of some grassroots
yeah,
movement or some specialized organization. You probably never
yeah.
cared about whatever domain appears before in your life, and if it goes out of the news picture, you will stop caring and never care again, right?
I
And
think
then
this is a hard thing because we do also live in a democracy, right? Like, I don't want to get
yeah,
into the whole. This is the
no,
whole conversation, right? Um, but people, theoretically, for democracy to function, the people need to take this responsibility, right? Or you
yeah,
need to put your faith into someone else. But
yeah,
no one trusts the politicians in most countries. I mean, it's kind of a broken
oh,
system. I
oh,
don't know. It's
yeah.
we wish we don't have to get
We
into
need
it now.
we need a separate podcast of
We can do that
democracy.
another episode.
But
But
the main idea makes sense, right? Like in a perfect democracy, in an ideal democracy, every citizen needs to be informed in order to make an informed decision about
yeah,
what is best for the country.
yeah,
Now, I'm still of the opinion that the importance of international politics is overweighed nowadays. Because I think if I told people, yeah, you don't have to care about the news in America because it doesn't matter to you, people will say, no, but America is such a big power. It's so important for how like our politics locally are impacted. And I'm like, yeah, it is, but I
there
think
should be people paying
realistically,
attention, but not everyone.
exactly.
But it's
Like,
kind of the yeah,
and the share of the media
yeah,
image that it takes up is
yeah,
just humongous, right?
yeah. So
Um,
how do
so
we
like,
tie
yeah,
this
you
back
should be informed. Hmm?
into the feeds and algorithms, right? Because it's like in the end, these feeds and algorithms, right? They shape what we think about. They shape how we think about it. They give us like the words that we use to then talk about the world,
Yeah,
right? You have the concept of the Overton window, right? It's
yeah,
there are certain things that we talk about, right? And other things that we might never talk about.
yeah,
Like an interesting thing, for example, what we talked about is that the BRICS just launched their unit currency, right? Which is a big currency, and they're trying to compete with the US dollar. This is not pushed at all so much in the media, like no one really hears about it. But
yeah,
why? Why do we talk more about this ICE agent than about the BRICS currency, right? It's in my mind, it should be the opposite. Um, and this is really right. You have to be aware that even just they decide what you think about and how you are able to think about it, right? This is all controlled by what you take in, and in the end, you become that which you take in, and you have to be really careful and decide what you want to take in, and not just let it come.
yeah. I think feeds, think about them as just, you know, they have complete control over your mind when you're in it, especially like Instagram Reels, YouTube Shorts, TikTok.
Yeah.
They, you have no choice. You know, if the algorithm wants you to become a certain person, they can probably pinpoint you a little bit here, a little bit there, push you a little bit further, and because you have no choice in the matter, you will
Yeah.
eventually kind of go towards becoming that person. Uh,
Yeah.
and that's a kind of power that I don't think any individual would want to give to
Yeah.
private companies that have uh, incentives that I think are pretty far away from what
Yeah.
a
From
human
your incentives.
would
Yeah.
desire.
Yeah. So I think for the individual, right, it's very important to become aware that this stuff is all happening, aware that these processes are happening in you all the time, and you cannot escape it. But you can try your best to become aware of it, and then to start choosing, like, hmm, maybe I want to research this topic that is not talked about so much, or maybe I want to look into this. This interests me, but then that means you have to go actively out to search. You cannot depend on passive information coming out. And I think this is a
Yeah,
big shift that needs to happen, because otherwise we will always be controlled by what the algorithms push.
yeah. And I think this is the big, like we've talked about this a lot, me and you, but
Yes.
this idea that you need to be an active seeker, right? You need to take control over
Yes.
what you go out for. Like the
Hmm.
relationship between information in your brain, it should stem from you, and then it gets fed back to you, right? Not just it gets fed to you. Um, and it's hard. It requires work. It requires using
Hmm.
your brain on making
Yeah.
decisions, thinking about options. It requires being bored at times and struggling to find ideas and deciding not to just go to this automatic drip feed of
Hmm.
dopamine. And ultimately, you are fighting your own biology, I think, right? Like your own psychology,
Fighting
however you
with
want to look at it.
worth. Yeah. Yeah.
Like these feeds would not work this way if this doesn't work like biologically, physiologically, right? If that was
Yeah.
not the case, then they
Yeah.
wouldn't be effective. Um,
Yes.
so you need to really fight to a certain degree.
Yeah.
This I think the easiest example
Yeah.
people have is like addiction, right? Uh, like a physical addiction. I mean, but there are also mental addictions, right? And there are your body craves dopamine, and you get dopamine from a feed. Okay, so you will get addicted to it. You are fighting some internal processes there as well.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
I think it
And
needs to happen.
take control of what you take in. I think that is the
Yeah,
main thing, right? Be aware of what you take in, take control of it, and regain yeah. And then I think you will learn a lot, and you will feel like, I have learned this. This is my knowledge. This is not knowledge that someone put into me. I have looked at the things, and this is what I came to. And I think for me, this is a process that has been going on for a long time, and that will always continue. I'm always
yeah,
learning, always trying to find new ideas, always open for another perspective that I might not have looked at before, right? Always go into depth before you agree with something, etc.
yeah.
Um,
And the hard part about it might be, well, one thing is the stepping away from the feeds, right? Maybe that'll help you. Maybe if you step away from feeds, you will realize that this thing that you thought was very important is not that important anyways, because
yeah,
all of a sudden you don't care about it. But if we take it a step further about questioning, the ideas that you have in your mind, this is also hard, right? There are things that you maybe link to your identity. There are things
yeah,
that are very deep, and that if you try to question it and break it apart, you would like question your identity. There will be like some internal
yeah.
crises
Maybe
there, but
maybe you don't fit into your friend group because your friend group believes something different. There
exactly.
are a lot of things that come into play. It's not
But I
just
think that's
yeah,
a separate conversation.
yeah, for sure.
In
Like that's
itself.
a deep psychological
Yeah.
thing. Yeah.
But we can go on to, unless you have something else
No, I think we
to,
can move on. Yeah.
yeah, we can go on to talking a little bit about future development, as we call it.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Yeah.
what
Like.
what can we do, right? We are in the situation where we've seen over the last 10, 15, 20 years. I know we extrapolated to the whole digital realm, but we can try to bring it back to feeds again, like be more targeted on feeds and algorithms. We see where they've gone, right? We see what they are.
Yeah.
in my opinion, the TikTok method is very close to peak peak algorithm or peak
It's
feed.
optimized. Yes.
It's optimized. Like it's short form, it's audio visual, it's social, it's fed to you in one straight line. It takes up all your attention. There's not much more you can do to capture someone's attention. Maybe you can do it with AI and hyper personalize it, but that's a dystopian
Yeah.
thing that we can discuss sometime else.
I mean, those are probably the things that are coming, right? But this is like,
Yeah,
if you allow this path to continue, right? If you don't change now, this will only get more into this world, more optimizations, seeing how can we stimulate more. The whole VR thing of Meta is
yeah,
exactly about this. It's about how can we get more access to the senses, right? We want all these audible senses, the vision senses, the motion, everything. How can we get closer to the brain? You get Neuralink with implants into the brain. You get, right, these are all the ideas, and this is what these tech companies are exploring. And I think what is, if you don't change something, that is slowly where you're going towards.
yeah. And I think in the same time, you slowly give up more power to for these companies to shape who you are, right?
Yeah,
If they know everything about you. I mean, imagine a hyper feed of AI content that engages you as much as like normal content does now,
yeah, that
and
it's
it's hyper
for
personalized
you.
for you.
Yes,
Yeah, maybe it
yeah,
doesn't even exist for other people, right? It's just for you, and it's
yes,
24/7. And
yeah,
it's hyper optimized for engagement, right? So you will like it,
yeah.
you will enjoy it. Like then
Yeah, this
you,
is like the extreme. This is like the,
yeah,
where we should not go, right? We should be very, very careful that that we start something that goes away from this, because I
yeah,
don't want to live in this kind of world. I don't want my children to grow up in this kind of world,
no.
It's something that's very, very important for me.
Oh, now I just
And
imagine school education. It's
yeah,
just you, like individuals, and an AI through the whole school system, and it's hyper optimized for you. So it'll be perfect for learning,
yeah,
motivation, all these things. But there's no
yeah,
real humans. There's no social engagement in the same way. There's
yeah. And like, of course, this idea will be sold by the technocrats, right? And by
yeah,
everyone. And I I think this is like with all technologies, right? It's really about how you use it and who controls it, right?
yeah, for sure.
Do the people control it, or does a small elite group of rich people, investors, control it, right? And what are their incentives? And you
Yeah,
give up so much of your own power, and
yeah,
to to what to yeah. Mm.
yeah,
So yeah, right? This story will be sold, and it will make sense, right? Because it's like, ah, yeah, AI is smart, it can do all of these things, whatever, and it will be agreed upon by a lot of people, right? But it's just a slippery slope that you slowly glide down, being
yeah.
sold this idea about like that technology will save us, and that, and that they will, yeah, be very careful about this.
Yeah, I think we know that it will happen, right? That's not even a question. I mean, anything that further pushes the same incentives that these private companies or organizations have right now, they will further push the same thing, and they will use any technological means to achieve that. That's just not a
Yes,
question. Like that,
that,
that's the
that's
future that they
reality.
will want to build, right?
Yes, that's
And
reality. We've seen it.
like, yeah, like so.
Yeah,
So we know that this will happen, right? And you can try to think of ways they can achieve it, and timelines, and how
yeah,
fast, and cost incentives and all these
yeah,
things. But uh, we know that it's coming. And let's be honest, if it's hard to stay away from Instagram right now, or from TikTok right now, good
yeah.
luck getting away from your 24/7 AI hyper personalized
Yeah, good luck letting
content
your
machine.
children who grow up in this world, right, that they will
Yeah,
ever start thinking for themselves, because like the
yeah.
younger generation, I cannot imagine the
Oh,
children growing
this
up
is
now, what
uh,
they're going through. Like it's
no. This is horrible.
yeah,
Even just thinking right now, right? Like the 3-year-olds with the iPad and Instagram and YouTube and all this
yeah,
stuff, right? What will they
yeah,
become in 20 years?
yeah. If
Like,
they have
who
a
are they as
headset, and
people?
yeah,
because we are just on the border where we grew up, still in
Yes,
the old world,
a little bit,
not the real old world,
a little bit.
but
Yes,
we had the pre-technology all the time childhood, and some
yeah,
technology at least, uh,
yeah.
and like I think again, like what are there going to be consequences? Is this something that, like, if your
Well,
child from
yeah.
3 years old is addicted to algorithms and hyper, like, have you seen the all the colors and stuff in children, like YouTube Kids videos? There's a lot of
No, but I can
crazy
imagine
colors
it.
and,
Yeah,
like, it's not something we would
yeah, it's
like,
crazy.
but
I mean, I've seen it
the
in some
child's
family
brain.
of mine, and the kids there, they're just they're so distracted, and like like when I grew up, which was not so long ago, you know,
Yeah,
it's
when
like
you were young.
when we were eating with Christmas, we were expected to sit there and to listen a bit to the conversation,
Yeah,
And at some point, it was like, okay, kids, go play, and then it's like, okay,
yeah,
all right, and now we can play. But you learn patience as a kid. And with some other kids that I'm seeing, it's not everywhere, but it's like they're at the table with their tablet, they eat quickly or they're not hungry anymore, they don't like the food, whatever, it's all okay. They're on their tablet watching whatever YouTube Kids video.
yeah.
Yeah,
It's shaping their brain hard, and it's gonna be, I think, yeah, probably we're past the point where even like the society will see in 20 years that the state of engagement for current children is too much, right?
yeah,
Because they will not be able to properly
yeah,
function. Maybe in a digital world they will exceed, which is a problem, but um,
yeah.
we still have a
No,
physical
but
world to take care of.
yeah. So should we go into what then should happen, like, or
Yeah,
how we would see that what needs to be changed fundamentally about the feeds, about the digital world algorithms? Do you want to
yeah.
start or should?
I mean, I can start with a basic idea. I think we need to separate between, okay, like, are we just going to talk about ideal world, what it could be, or are we going to talk about practically what big companies could do? But because I think the
No,
second one is not going to happen, right?
no,
They're going to do
I
their
think we
thing.
should not talk about, or maybe we can touch on it a bit, but I think mostly it's about the
What do we want it
like
to
like
be like?
fundamentally, right? We would like to see a world where people choose themselves what they're interested in, right?
Yeah,
They compose their own feeds. They
yeah,
decide actively, and they're always like in full control, right? They see exactly like which things am I browsing right now, what am I searching, right? Probably no infinite feeds about all kinds of different things that is constantly being adjusted to you, right? If you click on one video, you will get thousands
yeah,
more in that direction. I think we need to go away from that direction and give more control to the people.
yeah. I obviously agree 100%.
Yeah.
And I think there's this. So one thing is the data, right? I think right away we'd probably be much better off by just cutting off any personalization based on data. I think,
Yes. Yes.
yeah, okay, there might be slight things that are just convenient,
That's a problem,
like,
and then you get onto the slippery slope, and it's
exactly. So
convenience. Yes,
that's
but
a
we shouldn't.
question.
Mhm.
Uh, I think, yeah, okay, so probably better off just dropping all personalization and allowing you to control how you, like, what data you want the algorithm, if there is one, to base itself off of. And a classic simple example would be like choosing a topic on YouTube, right? Uh, YouTube also uses your personal information, but if it
Yes.
was only a topic, that makes sense, right? Like, you selected that you want to
Yeah.
see content related to this topic,
Yeah. I'm
and the
interested in some
feed,
very specific thing, right? I'm interested in Islamic world history, as an
yeah,
example, right? Maybe even a specific time frame, maybe authors. I don't know, some kind of combination, right? Where you can really
yeah,
fine tune what you're interested in, and then you feel that, right? Like Wikipedia has this, for example, right? On
yeah,
Wikipedia, you go into a topic, then you see related things, you go there, and but you are exploring, you're actively clicking through, you're reading and
yeah,
researching.
and exactly, and it's not customizing it based on you, and it's
Yeah,
I don't
Yeah.
think people use the homepage of Wikipedia, so I think
No.
that's
No.
fine.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we have this, right, where the person is in control. I think that's the main keyword.
Yeah.
There's no auto adjustment to you. I I mean, if you take away the auto adjustment, right, then I think things like TikTok, uh, like that type of format, would also lose its power. Because the problem is like, what if I can select 5 or 10 topics that I'm interested in, or even yeah, let's say 5, 10 topics that I'm interested in, but for a TikTok esque feed where it's still just short
Yeah.
form videos and scrolling. I
Yeah.
selected the feed, but I'm still addicted to the short form
Yeah.
content dopamine
Yeah.
style, right?
Yeah. Well, I think theoretically you can still have that, but at least you get the bonus that the person is aware of
Yeah,
in which area they are right now, right? They selected it themselves and they know they are watching cat videos right now, but or they know they're watching this, but there might also be other things,
yeah.
right? So they're aware of the Overton window where they are um, in the
It would also be
grand
cool
scheme of
if we
things.
could demand, we the people, we the people could demand that you're not allowed to only have these feeds um, or some similar structure as a format on your platform, for example. Like if you look at Instagram, right? Instagram has the explore page, which essentially shows you like 12 mini versions of the image, and it's an infinite feed and it's recommendation and all of that. So personalization is still taking that out, but on TikTok there's basically like the main feed as far as I'm aware, um, and maybe just having this kind of real format is not allowed. People don't approve of that or something like that. I don't want to
Yeah,
include regulation as well to be
yeah,
like you can't produce that, but
yeah. Somehow you have to create a platform that is also in some ways attractive, right? It makes people feel yeah, because there
yeah,
there is a need, right? Like I get a lot of my information, like the YouTube feed, what it brings me. Well, the let's say there are good aspects and bad aspects, right? And the good aspect about the YouTube feed is that it brings me new information. It brings me a channel that I've never looked into. It allows me to explore, right? It allows me
yeah,
to find new things. The downside is that it's all passive, right? It's just like scrolling, 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 and you hope that maybe you find something. You hope that the
yeah,
content gods like are good
yeah,
today and that they um in reality, right? It's like, I found this channel, right? I'm really interested in this guy. Give me people that other people who are interested in this channel also watch, right? Give me channels that uh, write about the same kind of information, but I can actively go there, right? I'm like, I like this. I want more of this. You click there, you get another list, right? Where it's like Wikipedia, right? Where you're actively clicking through and you're deciding yourself where you go. Why is this not a thing on YouTube, for example, on all these platforms, right? Allow the user to take control of where they explore. And
I really like this idea that you click on a video and you can get like uh, similar videos, similar
yeah,
creators or something like that, but
but not adjusted to
your
you.
action, yeah, exactly, not adjusted to you, and
Yeah.
your action does not impact this like overall algorithm on you that exists in the background
Yes.
everywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's also this idea that if you look to YouTube, for example, right, they will not let your previous interest go very easily, right? Because they always know that you are interested. They
Yeah.
might be able to pull you back at
Yeah.
the right time. But
Yeah.
what if I just want like stop the
Yeah.
algorithm
You're
right
like, I
now?
don't
And
want that part anymore, right? Yeah. Like
yeah,
I'm not interested in these cat videos or gaming videos, right? I don't want them anymore. I'm not interested. Don't recommend me that because I don't want to fall back into
as a
something like
past
that,
life,
you know?
right? Where you,
Yeah. It's like, no, I don't want that, right?
yeah,
Don't try to force me back into it.
yeah.
I have said no.
And I can
Yeah.
find this like it can work. Even though I think I'm quite like aware of what I'm clicking and I don't want to just click anything. I still think there are some times where some recommendation for something that I watched previously, like a while ago, and I'm like, oh yeah, this would be nice to see now, you know. And I'm like,
Yeah.
wait, but I don't think about it
Yes.
any time during the day or week at all.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
now that it's here, it's one of these
Yeah.
things that I got a
Yeah.
bit intrigued to check
Yeah.
out again.
Yeah. So subscriptions for sure are a good thing, right? Where you just get a linear feed of all the people you're subscribed to, and then
Yeah,
on top of that, and maybe you can categorize it by topic, right? Maybe you can customize this whole thing. You can share these lists with other people on your profile, right? Other people can see these kinds of things. There's, and then there are also so many ways to allow users to explore it where without making it passive, right? We have just thrown out a few ideas, but if you
yeah,
think about this, if this is where your focus is, right? If this is what the investors say, that's what we want to push, you put research into this, and I think there's a whole world of things to build there.
100%,
And
100%. There's
yeah,
so many ways to do it, right? To just give people the choice and give them the
yeah, the
control over
control, give
what they
them the
want to
tools.
see.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and yeah,
And that
I
would
think
also
that's
take away a lot of the psychological power that the companies have. Because
yeah.
if you are actually in control in everything you do, then you are choosing your path. You are
You are
choosing
adjusting the
what,
knobs on your
like,
own feed. You are
yeah,
selecting. You
yeah.
are customizing
You're
everything.
actively doing it, not passively
Yeah,
being tricked into it.
yeah,
If you choose to only see the same type of political content, well, then you made the selection to create a feed
yes,
like this or a grouping like this that you can pick
yeah,
from. But now
yeah.
it's
And you
happening
can change it at any
subconsciously,
time, right? Yeah,
and you can change it, and it's you're very aware that you're making that selection,
yeah,
right? And it's
yeah,
also not being mixed with
yeah,
other interests of yours in this kind of
yeah,
shady way that is very subconscious, you know, mixing and matching your different opinions or characteristics or
yeah,
similar.
yeah.
Give people control.
Lots of ideas. These are just our ideas, right? But I
Hey
think
Meta,
there's
hey
really beautiful world we
TikTok.
can create. I, huh? What did you?
Calling them out. Give people control.
Yes. And I think you can really create a beautiful place on the internet.
Think so.
Like make it something nice, make it something for humans, where humans prosper, right? Where the individual prospers, where the individual can explore, and it's not just being manipulated for where the biology is just exploited, right? For the
Yeah.
for the gain of a few investors somewhere. I think
And I think when people are more they're more aware of their control and actively in control of what they do feed their mind with, I think genuinely, um, people want to see inspiring things, beautiful things, things that make you happy about the world state, or things that bring you joy about your surroundings, right? You don't I don't think like there's some internal thing that wants to be angry or wants to be um like feeling there's self pity, right? And there's for sure some internal pull to be in a state where you feel like pity for yourself, or you feel like, well, the world is just horrible, so nothing matters, like this kind of nihilistic thinking, right? But I think percentage wise, for sure, a lot more people would fill their brains and their minds with uh, inspiring content about what the world could
hmm
be, or what we could do
yeah,
together, what we can
hmm
achieve, the beauty
yeah,
of our culture, our people,
of our
our surroundings,
history,
our
of
nature, history.
everything.
Exactly.
Yes,
Like, why
yeah,
would you not choose that if you have the option,
yeah,
right? Why?
because we, yeah,
Yeah, I think a lot of people
I
would
agree.
make that choice, and I think that is one of these things that we really kind of maybe missing, or like that is deteriorating across, especially the
Yeah,
Western sphere, but
yeah,
probably across the world. Because
I think so too.
that doesn't maximize engagement, right? So it's
Yes, it's
not
hard in
worth
an in
doing.
an in a stakeholder capitalistic industry
Yeah,
where massive amounts of money and debt are being thrown around. It's hard for the smaller companies, for the individuals to build these beautiful platforms, because there are enough people
yeah,
who want to build these kinds of things. And yeah,
yeah. And I think you see the same with news, right? I think the general rule that the news would rather keep you fearful than happy. is
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
of course, if you're fearful, you're going to read more. You're going to be more worried about what's going on. You're going to check more
Yeah.
often. You're going to pay more attention, right? But that's not a place where you want to be when maybe the thing you're being fearful about is something that will actually never impact your real
Mm.
life.
Yeah, and fear is something to overcome, right? But it's hard.
Yeah,
But right, maybe some of these things are true. Maybe the world is in this dangerous place. But if you become scared of these things and therefore don't take action, therefore you're afraid to have children, therefore you don't want to build these beautiful things, right? Then
yeah,
then the fear worked. The fear
yeah,
won, and that's the thing that I think happens a lot. Where if you look at these things and it makes you feel scared about the world and it makes you not act, then I think it's time, it's too much. Like there's no point in this because then you're actually giving your control away. And
yeah. You're giving up your life. Like you're saying, well, I'm not going to use my creative power to build something long term,
yeah,
to build
because I'm
something
scared.
beautiful. Because what? You think
Yeah,
the world
because
is
you
going to end in a
fear.
year because
Yeah,
of what the news told you?
who
It's like,
knows? You don't know, but live, prosper.
yeah. Humanity has lasted for thousands of years. The odds it's going
Yes,
to disappear tomorrow
it's
are
very
very
small.
low.
Yes,
Just use the
exactly.
statistics. It's like going
Yeah.
out and driving a car and not driving a car because you're scared you're going to be in a car crash.
Yes. Yeah. It's yeah, very good. Then should we plug our own platform?
Yeah, we should plug our own platform. Don't
Yes.
worry, we haven't been building this entire thing
No, we
to
have not.
plug a platform. No, so we we built a platform over the last like couple years, kind of
Mhm.
um, a platform that we think is necessary and that we are really passionate about. Uh,
Yeah,
and
we
it's
really
not like
believe. Yeah, we believe in it, and all these things that we talked about in this episode. This is also really fundamentally where the motivation comes from to build it. We really care deeply about this, about giving control back to the people, about a truly open platform where such things, yeah, for
and
humanity.
also yeah, and also about making I think people in general maybe learn more about the world, about the things that are really true. Less information about temporary things that distract you, and more
Yeah,
information that is permanent. Learning about the world, how it works, making observations,
yeah,
learning to think more critically about complex topics. We'd really like to push these ideas, and
hmm
we feel this is something that the
yeah,
world uh,
yeah,
needs and should push as a whole. So why not take part in it or be,
yeah.
uh, yeah,
This
be
is our
really
idea to make the world a better place, right? These things that we talked about. This is how we see how to make an impact in the world and make these ideals come to life. So
yeah, and many more things. But it fits
yeah,
well with our first episode here as well.
yeah, yes, exactly. So yeah, the website and the name is akarim.com, and it's been live now for a few months, and
Yeah,
yeah, it'll be really cool to check it out. And there are, yeah. Do you want to say something about the
yeah, just
website specifically?
acarum.com, akarum.com.
Yes,
Just
Akarim.
in case
Remember that name.
maybe we'll add it to any description
Add
that
it
we
to the
have for
description
our
and
yeah.
something like that. Yeah.
But yeah, please check it out. Start dropping content on there. Start
Yes.
sharing your knowledge, sharing your expertise. Share valuable information that
hmm
that is meaningful, that is worth learning, and that you would like other people to learn about the world, about
Yeah.
people, about society.
Yeah. Yeah. And some of the fundamental things that we did differently on Akarim is it's all centered around a topic tree. So all information. Uh, so if you create a piece of content, a snippet, you add 1 to 3 topics to this information. So it could be like history and fish or something. And you add these topics, and these topics are part of a big topic tree. And this allows anyone to actively explore content on the platform. Like I can be like, I'm interested in history. I'm interested in animals. And then if I'm interested in animals, I go to the animals feed, and fish is a part of animals. And then I can find these posts related to this. So we actively give control to the people in this regard, and this allows us, or the ideal is that we become way less dependent on feeds and on these complicated algorithms that optimize, than the current platforms.
Yeah. So we want everything to kind of be linked across, so that you can find information, knowledge in a logical way. You have to actively seek it out yourself, even though there are feeds, but the feeds are related to topics or people. And we don't use any personal information for customizing feeds or algorithms. Right now, we're also not running any ads on the platform. We want to really try to give a pure feed, where the variables that affect the feed are decided by you, are clearly present. You know what they are.
Yeah.
And overall, we're really passionate about the project.
That's enough.
So
Yes, it's a long-term effort, and we are 100% invested.
Yes.
And we really hope that we can make this work. And
we will make this work.
We will make this work.
If you want to be an early user,
exactly.
If you want to be an early user in the future great platform, then join.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I think that's enough plugging.
Yes, I think so too.
Akarum.com.
Very good.
Yeah.
I think
we can wrap it up there, no?
I think so too. I think we touched on a lot of really interesting topics today. Lots of things still to explore, but it's really good talk.
I think so. I think we covered a lot. There are definitely threads that you can keep going on for a long time, but I think it opens a lot of ideas for people listening to think as well for themselves about further paths down those branches. And we will keep making these podcasts. This was the first one, so maybe we'll get better. Who knows? Probably
maybe we'll get some better microphones at some point.
Yeah, better microphones for sure.
We will try to improve on the. Yes,
for sure.
This is the trial episode, but
yeah. But
also,
I just
if you
want
have
to
any
reiterate.
thoughts or any thoughts, any discussion, please let us know. We're always willing to have a conversation, and
yeah, please engage. I mean, if you heard
yes,
on something interesting, please engage with us. And what I also I just want to reiterate that the goal of the podcast is to discuss what we consider maybe big ideas or big discussions about a vast variety of topics. So we're not just going to be talking about algorithms and technology. We're going to be talking much broader. So we don't have the topic ready for next week. It'll be a big surprise for whoever is listening. But I just wanted to reiterate that point, that we will cover a lot of different things.
Yes.
And keep them all interesting.
Exciting.
Exactly. Okay. Well, how are we going to end this then?
Yeah.
No, thank you for listening.
That we brought some valuable information. I hope that we maybe opened some minds or some ideas. That something resonated with what we talked about, and
yeah, great. And please engage if you enjoyed. Okay. Well, we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye bye.